Everyone believed these powerful radial engines were invincible. They were catastrophically wrong. On a crisp autumn day in October 1960, Eastern Airlines Flight 375, a Lockheed L-188 Electra, prepared for takeoff from Boston's Logan International Airport. It was a routine domestic flight destined for Philadelphia, with a stop in Charlotte and then Atlanta. Aboard were 67 passengers and 5 crew members, all anticipating a straightforward journey. The Electra was a relatively new aircraft, known for its speed and efficiency, powered by 4 Allison 500 1D13 turboprop engines. These engines, with their distinctive propeller whine, represented the cutting edge of aviation technology at the time. Yet, on this particular afternoon, a vulnerability existed that no one had fully accounted for. Captain Malcolm E. Scott, a seasoned pilot with over 17,000 flight hours, was at the controls. Beside him sat First Officer John B. Reeves and Second Officer Barry Lee Clark. Their experience should have been more than enough to handle any foreseeable challenge that day, but what occurred next was anything but foreseeable. At precisely 5:40 p.m., Flight 375 lifted off runway 09. The climb out was normal, the powerful turboprops roaring, propelling the aircraft skyward. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows over the Boston skyline as the plane gained altitude, everything proceeding as planned, or so it seemed for a fleeting moment. Just 10,000 feet past the end of the runway, at an altitude of approximately 200 feet, disaster struck, not from a mechanical failure, nor human error in the conventional sense. The unseen predator had made its move. A flock of European starlings, numbering perhaps in the hundreds, swarmed directly into the path of the climbing aircraft. The impact was catastrophic. Multiple birds were ingested into all 4 engines almost simultaneously. A deafening series of thuds and bangs reverberated through the airframe. Witnesses on the ground reported seeing flames erupt from the engines and hearing a distinct change in their pitch from a powerful roar to a sputtering, dying sound. Within seconds, Captain Scott and his crew were facing an unprecedented emergency. All 4 engines had either failed completely or were producing severely reduced power. The Electra, a relatively heavy aircraft, was now effectively a glider, barely above the ground, with no reliable thrust. The pilots fought desperately to maintain control. With all engines compromised, the aircraft's lift was rapidly diminishing. They needed to find a place to land, and quickly. Below them lay Winthrop Bay, a densely populated area, and the open water of Boston Harbor. Scott made a heroic effort to ditch the aircraft in the shallow waters of Winthrop Bay, aiming for an area where the impact might be survivable. This decision, made in mere seconds under unimaginable pressure, likely saved many lives. The Electra struck the water nose first, then broke apart violently. The force of the impact was immense. The fuselage fractured into several pieces, scattering debris and passengers into the cold, dark water. Rescue efforts began almost immediately as local residents and emergency services rushed to the scene, drawn by the sound of the crash and the sight of the wreckage. Of the 72 people on board, 10 passengers and 2 flight attendants survived the initial crash. Tragically, 62 lives were lost. Among the deceased were Captain Scott, First Officer Reeves, and Second Officer Clark. Their final moments were spent trying to avert a greater catastrophe, guiding their disabled aircraft away from residential areas. The investigation, led by the Civil Aeronautics Board, CAB, quickly focused on the bird strike. Evidence from the engines was conclusive: feathers, bird remains, and impact damage consistent with multiple ingestions. This wasn't a freak accident, it was a revelation of an underappreciated threat. The CAB's final report stated that the probable cause was the ingestion of a large number of birds into the aircraft's engines, leading to a total loss of power. This event sent shockwaves through the aviation industry. Bird strikes, while known, had never before been implicated in such a severe, multi-engine failure on a modern commercial airliner. Prior to Flight 375, most bird strike incidents were considered minor, usually involving damage to a single engine or the airframe. The idea that a flock of common birds could simultaneously cripple all four engines of a powerful turboprop was almost inconceivable. This incident changed that perception forever. The species involved, the European starling, is not native to North America. Introduced in the late 19th century, they thrived, multiplying into vast populations. Their habit of flocking in large, dense groups, especially during migration, made them a unique hazard to aircraft. The tragedy of Flight 375 spurred significant advancements in aviation safety. Engineers began designing engines with greater resistance to foreign object damage, including bird ingestion. The concept of bird-proof engines, while still aspirational, became a serious design consideration. Airport wildlife management programs were also drastically overhauled. Airfields worldwide implemented strategies to deter birds, such as habitat modification, noise cannons, trained falcons, and even pyrotechnics. The goal was to make airports less attractive to bird populations, especially during critical takeoff and landing phases. Furthermore, pilot training protocols were updated to include comprehensive procedures for handling multi-engine failures, particularly those resulting from bird strikes. The ability to react quickly and effectively to such an unexpected event became a crucial skill, honed through simulator training. The Eastern Airlines Flight 375 crash remains a stark reminder that even the most advanced technology can be vulnerable to unforeseen natural forces. It demonstrated that aviation safety is a continuous process of learning and adaptation, often driven by tragedy. The lessons learned from that fateful day in Boston continue to protect passengers and crew today. Each time an aircraft departs a runway, unseen systems and protocols are at play, many of which trace their lineage back to the desperate struggle of Captain Scott and his crew against an avian adversary. The Electra itself, despite its initial promise, faced a challenging service life. Several high-profile crashes, including Flight 375, led to speed restrictions and structural modifications, and ultimately, its early retirement from major passenger service, though it found new life as a cargo plane. The incident underscored the complex interplay between human ingenuity, natural environments, and the inherent risks of flight. It's a story of vulnerability, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of safer skies, forever etched into the annals of aviation history. The unseen predator, in this case, a flock of birds, proved that even the smallest creatures can wield immense destructive power when positioned against the machinery of man. It was a harsh lesson, but one that ultimately made air travel safer for millions. The legacy of Eastern Airlines Flight 375 isn't just a tale of tragedy, but a testament to how adversity can fuel innovation, transforming the way we understand and mitigate the myriad dangers of the skies. Explore another crucial moment in aviation history where human ingenuity battled the impossible, right here.